Hello, Aaron.
How you doing, Rick? How are you?
We haven't done a session for a while, but here we are again.
Exactly. Here we are again, ready to take the next few rankings by storm. Yeah, things have been going on, but I'm back, and let's do what we do, knuckle on, and see what happens.
Yeah, so we are going to have three videos from this session. You asked me to pick three games. You asked for three losses, but then I saw that earlier you had sent me two games that you'd like to analyze in a session, and those were two draws. So we have two draws and one loss in this session.
Brilliant.
Um, the loss I took the most recent loss you have that was yesterday, the 19th of October 2023. So that game might still be fresh in your memory, which is always good. Well, but I always find that's the best study material, a game that you just played and then go over it with a stronger player. Um, okay, so let's start with the first game. Share my screen.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
I can enjoy it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, it's clear you're not sending me your best games, and I have to commend you for that.
Yeah,
Some of my students only want to go over their good games, but of course you learn a lot more from a game that didn't go so
yeah.
well.
And like we spoke before, like about a few of my games where I sacrificed the rook, and then I pinned the queen to the king. We could have said that. I went, wow, wow, look at that great technique that we'd worked on and you found. I could have sent you the other one, and I could have sent this and that, and how I won a few games. That's easy. But this
Yeah,
is this is where I learned. So listen, I'll look at all my. I think every game I've said, yeah, 80% of them are losses. So I'm very happy to look at those.
well, it's not 80%, it's probably 50%, but that's probably for everybody because if you lose a lot, your rating goes down and then it
Yeah.
evens itself out. But no, you have a lot of wins, a lot of good wins. And the last video we did was when you reached 1,000, and you have gone below 1,000 a number of times, but every time you got above 1,000 again. So I think your standard level, your real playing level is slightly above 1,000, which is great. And you have set yourself a new target, right?
Yeah, 1,200. Who knows what's in store for me and what journeys and bumps will go along the way. But, if I'm not here to try, I don't know what I'm doing, but we shall see.
Yeah, 1,200 rating on rapid rating on chess.com.
And,
Okay,
and
this
I
game.
just, can I just start off by saying as well that Rick, thanks for your support and what you do with these videos. It's brilliant. Coming to 1,000. I know it's not master level, but for me, it was a great goal, and to stay there. I just thanks for your support along the journey.
Well, you're very welcome. It was great. I'm delighted that you reached the goal, and your goal was to do it by your birthday, and you did that
Yeah,
with time to spare. So this game was played on the 10th of October 2023, and you were black. Your rating at the time was 1,026, and your
yes.
opponent had a rating of 1,006. His
Sounds a
name
little
was.
bit different from 500.
It is you doubled your rating. That's if I doubled my rating, I would be world champion. So yeah, it's great. Okay, let's have a look. E4 from your opponent, E5, the classical way to play. Most at your level, most players play E4 in the first move. Knight F3, Knight C6, D4, and this is yeah. We swapped some messages about this as well a few times, and this is called the Scotch defense. Sorry, not the defense, the Scotch opening. So white plays E4, Knight F3, and then D4 in the center, and that's called the Scotch. And I've seen a few times that you didn't take on D4. So this is really a mental note you need to make because it happens. This happens quite a bit if you play E4, E5. The Scotch, the best way to play is just to take in the center, and after knight takes D4, you play bishop C5 to put pressure on that knight, which is now attacked twice, defended once. And if he attacks, defends it again, then you might, don't know if you will remember this next time it happens, but the best move here is Queen F6. Normally that's a very bad move because that's a natural square of the knight in most openings. But here it puts an extra attacker on that knight on D4. You have attacked it 3 times now. So he needs to defend it again. C3, defends the knight again, also on the natural square of his knight, and then your king's knight goes to e7, and this is the main line in the Scotch.
Right.
So see if you can make a mental note of that, because in the game you played bishop d6, and after d5, the knight went back, and you are very cramped. You know, white has a lot of extra space. It's not so easy to play, and that's why this is not a popular way of playing. So taking in the center against the Scotch is the way to go.
Right, thank you.
Okay, c4, knight f6, knight c3, and you castled, developing, and you played knight g4 without finishing your development first. So, you know, I'm a big fan of finishing development before starting any plans. What's an alternative to knight g4 here, Aaron?
C6.
C6, yeah, that's a move. And what is why did you suggest that move?
Because if we go back a move, please, we can just do that. I just think, well, I could move the bishop from d6 to b4, and then move the pawn up, and then free my. But then I've a move with the same piece twice.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mean then this and then this guy can come out? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I thought I don't want to move with the same piece twice, or maybe you might say, well, this is an exception, Aaron, because you were cramped, so we've got to unreverse the work. But then I think, you know what? If I can move the C pawn, take with the B pawn, then the bishop comes to, to probably A6, having some influence, maybe that. So that's my thought. But I've got to move one. The reason why I move that knight is to somewhere try and move the knight on E7. Then the queen can come out, then make room for the bishop. That was my thought process, really.
Okay. So just think of that. So knight g4, and then this knight out of the way, and then the queen can come out of the way.
Yeah.
But and then you said, and then the bishop can come out. Which bishop are you talking about?
The C8 one.
Yeah.
Eventually.
So all these moves that you mentioned there, knight g4, knight g6, the queen out, that doesn't help the bishop on c8 at all, right?
Yeah, but I thought to avoid moving the same piece twice with the bishop, I'll have to move a pawn, and then then the B pawn takes, and then free. You know, the diagonal from C8 to A6. That diagonal maybe.
So b6, but you said c6.
Yeah, because I thought if it takes, and then it takes towards the center. So if he takes the B pawn, I'm still taking towards the center.
Yeah.
And now that sort of thinking, and then the rook can come over on the file.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's all true. That is all true. I guess the easiest way to play is then to play b6. Then the bishop can come out straight away. But you can also do it with c6, and it will take a bit longer. No, that's all fine. That's all fine. But yeah, as long as you recognize that you still need, in this position, the position from the game, sorry for the arrows, I'll get rid of them.
No.
It is that bishop on c8 that you still need to worry about. So finish development, also at a 1000 level, is important, and beyond. So you need to worry about that bishop. And then knight g4 does not really do much for that bishop.
I think I was also trying to. I don't know what my next move is, but I think I was also looking towards the f2 pawn, the f2 square as well.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly what happened. So let's look at the next few moves. He castled, you played bishop c5. So indeed, you were going after that f2 square. Okay, it is protected well enough, but that is what you're doing here. And I don't have a big problem with that in itself. I do have a problem that you are neglecting that bishop on c8. You know, all your pieces want to be happy. At the moment, the bishop on c8 is very unhappy because his other bishop you made 2 moves with the other bishop and 2 moves with the knight, and your bishop on c8 feels left alone. Why are you moving my friends twice? And I am still not only on my home square, but also I'm only looking at my own pawns, so it's not fair on that bishop on c8.
Yeah.
Okay, but it worked out, and that's why it's good that we have these sessions. Otherwise, you might not have, because you don't get punished for not developing your bishop, because he makes a mistake. He plays bishop e3, and that is a terrible move. So
I
you took
remember.
on e3.
Yeah.
You took with the bishop or the knight. Which one do you think is best? You didn't pick the best one in the game. Which one is?
I know I did. I played the bishop, but I should have took with the knight.
Well, you took with the knight. And
Oh,
why is taking with the knight better than taking with the bishop?
because it ends with check.
F takes, bishop takes, check, king h1. And is ending with check, is that a great achievement in itself?
No.
Exactly. That's another thing we need to work on. You drive me crazy with all your checks, Aran. When there's a check, you give a check, and that is you're really beyond. That's 500-600 rating level. You are way better than that now. Stop giving checks whenever you see one, please, just to make my life a bit better, you know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. Let's calculate the other one then. If you take with the bishop, bishop takes e3, f takes e3, knight takes e3. Is that any better, even though it's not check?
Yeah, because it ends with a fork.
Ah, there we go. Bishop takes, f takes. And we not only win a pawn, we also win an exchange, because the next move we're going to take that rook, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So in this case, it's very good. Yeah.
So, look, it's clunky, and anyone at 1100 would have completely schooled me here. But me putting the knight on g4, I'm not trying to console what I've done, but because I'm at this level, it nearly resulted in a real huge advantage here.
Yes, but that's only because your opponent played a very bad move, bishop e3, and we cannot count on our opponent making bad moves.
Yeah, of course.
And
My calculations go as far as if I take with either piece, I thought he'll take with the F pawn, and it's double pawns, and now I've got a diagonal attacking the king. That was as far as my thinking went.
yeah, so it's not about, we're having different discussions than we had a year ago. A year ago, we were just trying to keep our stuff together. Knight g4 and bishop c5 is an interesting idea. You set your opponent a problem, and he falls for it. So we talked about many times, chess is a lot about setting your opponent enough problems. So here you did, and you got rewarded. From an objective point of view, that bishop on c8, I feel really sorry for him, and that's why I kept going on about that. But it worked out. But yeah, here taking with the bishop is the best move, because you win a lot of material. And after knight takes e3, which you played, yes, it finishes with a check, but after king h1, we've won a pawn, which is nice, but we could have won an exchange on top of that. So
yeah, thank you.
And now you play d6, and now you're my friend again, and you're the friend of the bishop on c8 again.
Yeah.
Played b4, and yeah, I think now you have played d6, it's time to bring the bishop out. Pin the knight, something like that,
But I didn't play that.
You didn't play it. You played bishop d4.
Well, that's terrible. Oh, okay. So I've thought of a pin another way, but that would have been a better pin.
Yeah, it's again, you set your opponent little. Oh, what am I doing? Did I do something? Where did I click? Sorry about that. I clicked somewhere and I shouldn't have. Yeah, bishop d4. It pins the knight. So again, you set your opponent a little problem. But yeah, probably developing your bishop objectively is a better move.
Yeah.
He fixes the pin and protects the piece. And now you play bishop g4. So happy days.
Yeah.
He kicks it. You maintain the pin. I like that. You do that a lot. I like when you you're very good at keeping the pieces on the board. You're not one of these scaredy cats that wants to swap everything off. You like to keep pieces on the board, which is a great thing. Well done.
Okay.
And g4, bishop g6. Okay, he's kicked the bishop around a bit, but the drawback of h3 and g4 is that the king is now not very safe. For the moment, you cannot really get at the king. but he never be able to play his pawns back to guard the king. You know, pawns don't move backwards. So in
And
the
what
long
rating
run,
was he? What rating was he, Rick?
1006.
Right.
So longer term, you might get a bit of joy from his unsafe king, even though you can't do anything with it straight away. And you know, his f pawn is already gone, and he's played up the other two, so it's a little bit dangerous what he's doing. He played c5, c6, a lot of tension there, pawn tension. He took on d6. He took with the queen, a3, protecting the b4 pawn, and here you played c5. Okay, this is maybe not a very easy exercise, but instead of c5, you can win a pawn here. And it's all about attackers versus defenders, and it's about removing the defender. See if you can figure it out.
And I knew you
Why?
were going to say attackers versus defenders there. I knew it because I've been looking more at that. Is it something to do with the d5 and the knight?
Yeah, you're going to win the d5 pawn. But first you have to remove the defender of that pawn because it's defended twice at the moment and attacked.
Yeah. So do I take the knight on c3?
Yeah, bishop takes c3 is a good move. He has to recapture.
And I take with the pawn.
And you take with the pawn. And you've just won a pawn. You know, it's only... actually, if we look at it before, we just take the pawn on d5, it's attacked 3 times and defended twice, right?
Yes, pawn, knight, and queen, and defended by knight and pawn.
Yeah. So you could also take on d5 straight away, although it's a little bit tricky. If you okay, let's go into it. This is a bit more difficult because if you take on d5 straight away, claiming I'm attacking it 3 times and defend it twice, and he takes. If you then take again, then yeah, that also works actually.
Takes.
Yeah, also wins a pawn. So
and you know, if he does, I was just thinking this: if he takes with the knight, takes my knight on d5 with his, and let's say I take with the queen, and let's say, oh no, he moves the rook to e1. Actually, no, sorry. Let's say he moves the rook to g1, just for argument's sake. Then I can move my pawn to I can take that, of course, but just for the exercise, I was thinking I can move my pawn to e4, forking.
yeah,
Because
that
and then he
also
can
works.
take.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I just like looking for like little things. I try my best to have a look and stuff.
Yeah, no, good that you spotted that, and it's it's all very good for black. So you can take on c3 first, and then take on d5, or you can take on d5 straight away.
I've got to find them, Eric, because I can't find them in the games. So I might as well try and find them in the training.
Oh, you find them in the games as well. You didn't find this one, but you're you know, again, we're not looking at your best games. I've seen lots of games where you won, where you did exactly that. So
Thank you.
don't be too hard on yourself. c5 was played. Not a terrible move, but you missed a little tactic. He took, you took, knight e2, and that's a discovered attack on the queen. And your queen on c5 is now attacked. You've spotted that, and you saved your queen.
Oh, I didn't. Did I not take the pawn on a3?
Yeah, no, you didn't. And indeed, good that you see that now. That is indeed an option. Queen takes a3 is just bagging another pawn, although he can win a pawn back by taking on d4, right? Which is attacked twice and only defended once.
d4. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can take knight takes d4 and then take there twice. You know, something like that. And you have to recapture. Yeah. And he takes the pawn.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay. All right. You played queen b6 instead. He took on d4. You recaptured, and now you cannot take on d4 because the queen is still protecting it. So that's the advantage of queen b6. He played queen a4, attacking the d4 pawn one more time. And here you played rook a to c8. And you miss another little tactic. See if you can find it. It wins another pawn. Black to play. White's last move was queen a4. Black to play. And he picks up a pawn. And the motif is the pin.
So the pin, right? So there's a pin. Right. So does the pin involve the king?
No.
Oh,
You can chop off the pawn on d5.
so if I take. So if I take with the knight and then he takes, he can't take. Oh, and then I win the bishop at the end.
Yeah, the bishop is unprotected. So that's the tactic.
So
You win a pawn because it's you've won a pawn this way. You took on d5 in this position. You took on d5. Sorry, the arrow is wrong.
let's take.
And if he takes a full piece, then you win a full piece back. So you have won a pawn with this little exchange, little combination.
I would never have seen that.
Yeah, okay, but fine. It's not very obvious, but I just wanted to point it out. And it's just a pin. You know, the loose pieces drop off. It's very important to have your pieces protected. We talked about it many times, and you should see. So it's not so much seeing the way you see this easier is if you spot loose pieces. Hey, that bishop on d3 is unprotected. Can I do something with that? And then knight takes d5 is easy to find. It's not always that you can do something with loose pieces, but in this case you can.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Rook ac8 was played instead, which is a fine move, making the rook happy. He took on d4, which that pawn was attacked twice and defended only once. You swapped the rooks and played queen b2. And attacking that unprotected rook. I guess, you know, that knight takes d5 is still there, by the way. And the same tactic was still available. But queen b2 was played. Knight e2 protects his rook. And queen, you decided to go back. h4, making the king even more vulnerable. He maybe has some ideas of h5. You know, trapping your bishop. That's maybe his plan.
Yeah.
And you spotted that king, you have a good feeling for weak kings. You like to attack the king. And you very often go after the king, which is great. That's one of your strengths.
And I think that's so true, because I was thinking this the other day, that sometimes in my games I find myself less developed, or a piece down, sometimes two pieces down. I see +6 and I'm having palpitations, you know. And then before you know it, a bit of this, a bit of that, you know, a queen I've still got on the board, which is handy, of course, and then I move a few pieces, and you know, like that last game where I forgot to protect my my pawn, and he got my rook, but his king was not safe. So yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that is definitely a strength of yours. So in here you spotted the king is unhappy. He doesn't have many. All his pieces are also on the other side, so that king is really lonely. And you queen f6 is a nice move to go after that king, because if he now wants to trap your bishop, which he didn't do, then you have queen f3 check, and that's already winning that bishop on that loose piece there. It's terrible for white. He played king g2 instead to take queen f3 out of the position, but you took there.
Yeah.
Breaking down his the defense around his king even more. And he played rook h1. Well, that doesn't really help, because you just took on g4 with check, winning another pawn, and really making those all good. King f2, and now really nice move. The best move in the position, and good understanding. As I said, you're a good attacker. f5.
Yeah.
Bringing more pieces to the party. The rook wants to come into the attack.
And that's what I love about attacking the king, and I'm doing it a lot, where he'll move his king over, and then it's in the file. I'll bring the rook over. It's just like the cherry on the top, really.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like having an open file and just bringing that rook that's been there all that time. Okay, maybe it's undeveloped, or it was developed. I don't know, but bringing it in, ready to rock and roll. Yeah.
And indeed, we always talked about developing your piece by moving it, but here you kept the piece on f8 and you're developing it by pushing a pawn out of the way, and you threaten now to take on e4, and you get an open file that way. So you can also develop a piece by moving something else, and then suddenly the piece gets more activity. So this is a f5 is a real chess.
I never used to. I've never done that. You know, if you look at my games 6 months ago, I never did this.
No, this is really it's the best move in the position, and it shows great understanding.
Yeah.
So well done. Really, that's the best move of the game. He played knight c3, and you took, and that's a discover check. So, you know,
Yes.
everything is going swiftly here. You win a piece. King e3. You didn't even bother taking the bishop. You played
Check.
queen f3 check, and that's a fork on the
Beautiful.
rook. King d4, and you took the rook. I had a quick look at this. You could also take the bishop with check, and then you take the knight with check.
Oh, yeah.
So, but, you know, taking the rook, an unprotected rook in the corner can never be a bad move. I just showed you an alternative. Not saying that my move was better.
No. Well, 2 pieces, Rick. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, 2 pieces and all with check. And yeah, okay. Well, at least he can take that dangerous pawn off the board. But yeah, he's totally busted. He's material down, and his king is in the center, and your pieces are swarming around it. Queen g1 check. King e5, queen g5 check. Yeah, all your checks. King d4, knight f5 check. King c5, rook c8 check. So these checks are not bad, but yeah, well, the game is over anyway. But you bounce this king around a bit. King b4, another check. King b3, and now queen f6. That's nothing much is going to change. Let's play to the next few moves. Queen b4. Yeah, he's just a rook down, right? And a couple of pawns. And another check. King a2, and you trade down. When material had trading down is always good. Queen e5, your queen was hanging. And you take this one with check.
Yeah.
And here there is a mate in 2. See if you can find a mate in 2 here. Little exercise.
I don't even know where to start. Queen to g2.
Queen g2, check.
I don't think that's the right line, is it?
Well, it's a nice line, actually. Let's say he goes to b1. It's mate in 2 from here. Not so easy to find yet. You sacrifice your rook. Look at this. Rook c1 check. He has to take it.
Yeah, see.
And
Queen c2.
And queen c2 checkmate. That was nice. That was nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Chess is a beautiful game. Sometimes you have to just admire the beauty of the game. Now, the mate in 2 I was after was rook c2 check. Not as fancy. King b1. And where's the checkmate now?
Queen to a2.
Queen a2 is checkmate. Exactly. So that would have been that would have sealed the game. You played.
You know my method that I just said, my route. I don't know, would I have found that a rook sacrifice? I know I did one the other day, which was beyond me. I just saw the pattern and I'd done it. Maybe I'll get there with time, but you know, what if he doesn't even take the rook? You know,
he doesn't have any choice. That's his only legal move. He can't go to b2 or a2. So no, I don't expect you to find those moves, and it's also a bit dangerous because it doesn't work. You just give away a rook. So, you know, don't play the fancy moves. Just play when you have them on the ropes. Just kill them off in a normal way, and not with the fancy stuff. But I just pointed it out because it's a beautiful little combination.
That was lovely.
Yeah. Okay, you played queen c2 check, king b1, and queen c2 check. All very good. King a1, and I really like this knight b3. You just force him to give up his queen. That's his only legal move. His queen takes b3 check. Queen takes b3. Okay, you can take the rook.
This was a draw.
Yeah, it's going to be a draw. Oh, yeah, you recognize it when we get there. But yeah, as I said, it was your idea to analyze this game for the in this session. Yeah, of course, you're totally winning queen versus a knight, and you have also 3 extra pawns. How do you win the knight straight away in one move?
C3, queen.
Queen c3 check is a double attack. Yeah. You did something else. You took the pawn, which is also fine. King b1, and you can still do it now. You can play queen b3 check. And if he goes to c1, you have queen c3 check, picking up the horsey. And if he goes to a1, you have queen c3 check, picking up the knight as well. So, but you played h5. Of course, it is also perfectly fine. You're just going to make a second queen. Knight d6 is hanging the knight. You can just take it now. That is not a safe square for the knight, but you didn't. You can just take it. But you push the pawn. Let's see what happens. You're constantly totally winning, but I guess from a practical point of view, it would have been good just to chop the knight off at some stage, because people always say never resign if you still have a knight, because they're such tricky pieces and they could give a fork. Not that would help him here, but you make a second queen. King h5 and another check. You had also mate in 2 here. I'll just show you one example. Queen d5, pinning the knight. Can only play with his king, and then checkmate. But let's see what happens. Oh yeah, you gave away the one queen h3.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, but doesn't matter because you still have a queen and 3 pawns. So let's see what happens.
Do I?
You gave away the second queen.
Oh man, if I knew this was happening, I would have. Okay.
We swapped some messages about this. We had a good laugh about it. Because you're still winning because he can't stop your a pawn. So yeah. Even though you gave 2 queens away, you're still winning.
Some people can't, they're at a level where a bit lower. They can't even get to promoting queens. I give 2 away.
Exactly. There you go. You've gone way beyond that. Okay, you stops your pawn promoting, but your king comes in, chasing the knight away, and yeah, and let's see, we're not there yet.
Yeah, put me out my misery.
I'll put you out of your misery. Queen b4. Yeah, more moves. This is move 76, and we're still not finished. Now this queen versus knight, still winning, but a bit more tricky. Have to show some technique, and of course the clock was ticking down. And if you can give one more knight fork, then it's a draw. But you played well. Because here, what happened here? Oh yeah, here you win the knight because king a6 is the only move. And now we did practice this, Aran.
Yeah, and this is where the eyebrows were sweating, and I thought, got to get this right.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, and this is the final position.
Stalemate.
Stalemate. So I checked. You had 47 seconds left. Just give one example of how you could have won it. For example, here on move 88, instead of queen a6 check, you have a mate in 2 with king b6. His only legal move is king b8, and now mate in 1.
E8, please.
Queen e8 is checkmate. Yeah. So
king e8. No, I'm joking. Queen e8. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have only if your opponent has no pieces left, then the only danger is the stalemate, and unfortunately you fell for it here. And
what a game! What a game, Rick! Look how much learning materials in this game.
Yeah, a lot, and that's it's good that you picked it. And as I said, I commend you for suggesting we analyze this game. You played really well, apart from the phase where you had to where you had the game 1 already, putting the finishing touches on.
Thank you.
Anything else on this game?
No, Rick.